Welcome everyone to today's webinar about how to succeed with your email campaigns. It is the third webinar in the series Mastering Apsis. The previous ones about best practice profile management and manage your subscriptions are both available on demand via apsis.com or apsis.se. But let's get started. My name is Agneta, and I am one of the hosts of today's webinar. Before introducing my co-hosts, let's go through some practical details. The on-demand version of this webinar will be shared with you afterwards, so no need to take notes. All you need to do is simply enjoy the ride. And half an hour flies by very fast, so we will first go through the planned content and thereafter address any questions posted in the chat. So please just go ahead and post any questions in the chat. And if we run out of time, we will get back to you with answers to your questions afterwards. With me presenting today is also Henrik. Good morning, Henrik. How are you today?
Good morning, Annette. Very fine, thank you. How are you?
I am fine, so excited. So you're the product manager at Apsis. What is that like?
It's a super fun role. What I like most is that I get to talk to and interact with all different type of roles inside Apsis and customers as well, to help them to solve problems in the platform and so on.
Yeah, sounds fantastic. So you're part of designing and developing the product we all work in. What do you think about the future of emails? Because email is today's big theme.
Yeah, I would say the future is still strong. It's been around since the 70s. Not that much have changed. Some security protocols comes and we got HTML email in the 90s, but there's been several email killers out there, but email is still going strong. It's a very powerful tool. Everybody have an email, so it's a really good channel.
Yeah, that's really true. And with us today, we also have Karina. She is one of the consultants in the professional services team. Good morning, Karina. How are you feeling today?
Good morning, Agneta. I'm feeling very well. I'm happy to talk about one of my favorite subjects.
Oh, of course. We are super excited to get started. And before we go into the main content, let's look at the key takeaways. After today's very short session, we hope that you will have some extra insights in how to discover how you can work smarter, working in Apsis One with the email capabilities. We will give you some hands-on tips on how you can create email campaigns with top-class delivery, because if you spend time creating your campaigns, we also want to make sure that they're delivered to the inboxes. And last but not least, how can you turn data into insights and act upon them? Email marketing is fantastic, and as Henrik just mentioned, it's here to stay. We know that. But there are some principles that you can take into consideration to achieve your email marketing excellence. And we will deep dive and give you examples of all of these in this webinar. First, we want to make sure that we have a unified brand experience. So some consistency in visuals and in your voice that builds trust. So look at what you have on your website and in other channels where you communicate with your audience, and make sure that they recognize the brand, because that, at the end of the day, that builds trust. Keep your promises. If you say that they will receive newsletters weekly with a certain type of content, with a certain value, make sure that you deliver that value. Respect cannot be stressed enough. You need to respect your audience. It's the foundation of every relationship, and that goes with also keeping promises. But if they unsubscribe, if they're not engaging anymore, just let them be for now. They might come back. And relevance matters. We will look at some numbers as well, but it's not just about performance. It's also about what the audience expects. They pay with their data, and we want to give them the value back. And I like this map, manage, master philosophy. It's a way to always commit to continuous improvement. Don't just settle with what you have, because excellence is a journey. It is not a destination. So with some numbers, emails, yeah, the ROI is exceptional. It's like 1 to 40 in the ROI for email campaigns. And every email is an opportunity to kind of say again that you chose us and that was a smart decision. But as I mentioned previously, nothing is free. They actually pay with their data and their engagement. So there are some things to consider. First one is the value exchange. Back to the relevance. I gave you my data. You need to deliver value to me. It's not about what you want to send. It's about what the audience want to receive. So always keep that in mind, the outside in perspective. Recognition. Now we have a relationship. I chose to subscribe, or I chose to commit to a service or a product that you deliver. If you know me, show me that, and remember me when you do your campaigns. The purpose, tell me why I matter, and value, what's in it for me. Significance, make me feel like I matter. You might see an email address, but I'm a person. There is always a person. There are people that we're talking to. It's not just numbers or subscribers or email addresses, people, which ties nicely into, again, the respect. Show me that I made the right choice, trusting you with my data and my engagement. Creating great email campaigns. Karina is going to give you some tips and tricks, and Henrik is going to talk a bit about how you can optimize and improve. But if we spend that time and money and energy in a platform that can do email campaigns for us or with us, we also want to make sure that the emails are delivered. Apsis overall has a delivery rate of 98%, which is fantastic. It's a state-of-the-art infrastructure, making sure that the emails are delivered, and we work hard to maintain our own reputation, but also working with our customers to help them improve their reputation so that they can also benefit from the high deliverability rate. So we have consulted one of our subject matter experts, Jesper Sörtoft. He's one of the deliverability specialists in the deliverability team, monitoring your sendings and your performance. So here we have some tips straight from Jesper. Make sure you respect consent and maintain clean lists. So make sure that you have a consent, whether it's implicit or explicit, but you need to have a consent. And make sure you keep your lists clean. Outdated email addresses, make sure that you remove them. Don't send to any profiles that aren't interacting or engaging, or it's not relevant anymore. Monitor your bounces and clean up your lists. Protect your reputation through proper authentication. So there are several technical settings that you need to think about. Henrik mentioned as well that we have some security protocols that show up from time to time, and we need to work with that and not try to fool the systems, but work with it. So DKIM, DMARC, SPF, all those technical settings, you need to make sure that you have it in place, and you always make sure that you protect your reputation. Be one of the good guys. Engagement, like opens and clicks. Karina will show you a bit more, and Henrik will again show you how you can improve. But it's a health indicator. Vital signs, how you're performing, and pay attention to them. Again, keep your promises, respect the inboxes, and maintain a consistent frequency. If you send weekly newsletters to 20,000 subscribers, if you suddenly decide to send every day to 1 million profiles, that's going to trigger big alerts out there. So you need to kind of maintain your frequency and deliver what's expected. And last but not least, make unsubscribing easy. Yes, it's counterintuitive because you want to keep your subscribers, but it's natural. Interests come and go. You're in different stages in life, and they might come back, but make it easy to say no, thank you for now. And also with the ESPs, we want to work with them, not against them. Because back to the fact that you're talking to people, not just numbers or email addresses. And
Yes.
with that, I'm going to hand over to Karina to walk you through a bit of, creating the email, how to structure and how to create them.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Agneta. And you cannot talk about email success without mentioning your brand consistency, being recognizable. Agneta already talked a bit about this already. So being being recognizable. So it doesn't matter which medium you're at, you should always be recognizable, and your content structure should be also recognizable. And to help you with that, in our Apsis email tool, we have templates that you work with to create your newsletters, to keep your graphic profile. You have assets that you can drag and drop into it to create flexibility. And you also have the smallest, the elements that you can drag in and use. And this is for you to be able to focus on your content and not the visuals that should be the same, for your recognizability. And what does this look like inside Apsis 1? Well, you start your email campaign or your newsletter, and you choose your template. And in your template, you should have all those visuals set already. So you choose it. Here you can see through your templates tab in our tool, and this gives you the chance to just focus on content. Here you see a template with the Apsis branding, you see the logo and the structure content. You can see what the buttons look like and everything. So when I'm working with this, I can just focus on adding the content. The rows you can rearrange, creating assets. I can also drag and drop them in, making it flexible to work with. So it's easy to delete assets, and it's also easy to add assets. And this is to help you not to worry about this. Basically, you set the template, you set the assets, and you can focus on your content. You can also set the style for your element, so you can preset which font you're using, which colors, the sizing of the fonts for your different headings and your paragraph text. That also makes it easy for you to just drag in elements from the element panel, the design panel, and you can just add your content. You can rearrange it as you wish, and the graphic layout is already there. Right. So that's how we can support you with the help of templates and assets. Okay, so you have your graphic layout, you have your templates and everything in order, but you might have more than just one audience that you're targeting, right? So you need to like Agneta was talking about before as well, with the data, you know that you have your audience, but you might have different audiences inside. So you can use segments to be able to segment your content. And one use case is, for example, membership organizations. They talk to their members, right? But they also talk to their non-members, their leads, and they talk to them in different ways. So using segments inside newsletters, you have a powerful tool, and I will show you what it looks like. So segmenting on rows, you add the content that you want to share to your different groups. So here you can see join our community for member leads, and for members in this case it's to join a webinar. So you create your content, and then in the row settings you can add the segment. This means that only the ones matching the segment will see the specific content. So this is a powerful tool which which means that you don't need to do several different newsletters. You can do one newsletter and then you can segment the content. In the preview, you can see what it looks like for your different target groups here, for your different segments. So for members, it looks in one way, and then for your leads or your member leads, they will get a different content, different different content. And accessibility. Well, the Accessibility Act came into effect this summer. It's been on the top of our minds here at Apsis for a long time. And it's something that we really need to address, right? It's not just to avoid getting a fine. It's also the fact that it's a large group that we don't want to miss out on them. I think it's around 20% of the population that have some visual disabilities or other disabilities that, which means that they need help to access the content, right? But this is not just technical features, it's also something that we need to consider already in the design phase. So we need to design for legibility, readability, structure, and navigation, which means that we need to consider which fonts we're using, fonts colors, sizes, the contrast between different elements, and also the structure, having navigate. Is it clear where to click and where you land after you click? And inside Apsis, we of course have some technical features to help you with this. It's not just the design. So we have alt text for images to explain what they are about. We have heading and paragraph elements, so the screen readers would know what type of text it's reading. On buttons, there is the ARIA label, which describes to a screen reader what happens when you click on a button. And also in settings, set the language of the newsletter, so the screen reader would know which language to interpret the newsletter in. So that's the technical features that you can use to be accessible. So consider design and also use the technical features. Subject lines. Well, this is one of my favorite subjects. I can't stress enough how important this is. This is one of the first things that you see in the inbox, right, together with your organization name. So what it needs to do is to invite to further reading. It needs to be still in your own tone of voice. You should be recognizable, you know, as your organization, and also the way you speak to your audience. And also it's good if you can create some sort of curiosity, right, for them to, for your audience to want to open and read what you have to say. The subject line should stay within 40 to 50 characters, and this pre-header text should be twice as long, roughly. We say around 85 to 100 characters. I can show you what this looks like. So these images are screenshots from my personal inbox. It's from the same device. It's the exact same newsletters. They're just open in two different email clients. So to the left here, you can see what happens if you have more than one pre-header line showing. You can see the light gray text. So if the pre-header text isn't long enough, you start seeing open the email in a web browser, a web version link, click here if the email looks funny. So using a longer pre-header text would prevent that from happening. And then to the right, you can see the same newsletters, only with just one row visible. Maybe looks a little bit neater and tighter, and that's perhaps what we want it to look like, but the reality isn't like that. It's often like the one to the left. Yes. So scheduling and performance tracking. So meeting customers, which I do quite frequently, I get the question, when is the right time to send? And unfortunately, the boring answer to this, or it is, well, it depends, right? But to be truly successful with your campaigns, you need to plan it. You need to plan when to say what and to who. And to be able to figure out what time to send, you need to analyze your audience. So if you're a B2B company, you're talking to people during working hours, probably. So Monday to Friday could be a good option. Maybe 9 o'clock in the morning before a morning coffee or something like that. Or maybe it's better at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So this is something that we need to analyze. If you're talking B2C, well, maybe later in the afternoon when we think our audience is on a train or a bus commuting home and they're scrolling through their inboxes, maybe that's a better time to send. But the only way to actually know when to send or to be able to figure out your own perfect sending time, I think that's hard to ever tell, but you can use A/B testing, which Henrik will talk more about later. So email reports and key metrics. And key metrics that we have to work with when it comes to newsletters is open rate, we have click rate, we have CTR, we have unsubscribe, and we have bounce rate. And I think what most of us think about first when we talk metrics in newsletters is the open rate. How many opens do we got? And it's true, it's a good number to look at, but it's not always reliable. Quite often it's not reliable, and that's because you can have recipients that open and reads your newsletter but never downloads images, which means that you cannot see those opens in the report. There is also the Apple Mail privacy protection that came into act a few years back that opens the newsletter. So you will have more opens than you actually have. So that makes this number not completely reliable. A click rate is also a good number to look at. You want high click rates, right? But it's also a bit unreliable because there is clickbots clicking links. So you can have a much higher click rate in your report than you actually have in reality. CTR is probably the best number to look at because CTR is the combination of click rate and open rate. So it's click rate through open rates, which gives an engagement number. So that gives us the number, how many that opens and also interacts clicking in your newsletter. So that's a good number to keep an eye on. Unsubscribe. Well, it always happens. Your recipients, your audience should be able to unsubscribe. There will always be some unsubscribes, but keep an eye out if some newsletters that you send have more unsubscribes than others. That could be a pointer to that maybe you need to change the subject a little bit or rephrase it, or maybe skip that subject altogether and focus on something else that your audience wants to read. Bounce rates, well, Apsis customers, you often don't have this problem. It's handled automatically, and a few percent is normal and will always happen. But keep an eye out if you have more than 5, 10, maybe 20%. That's a telltale sign that you need to go through your lists and make sure that your list hygiene is good. So important metrics to keep an eye on. So email reports, well, it could be interesting to know the benchmark and to be able to benchmark yourself against. The newsletter average across all industries are roughly 21% open rates, 2.5 click rates, 12% CTR rate, and roughly 3% bounce rate. So these are the benchmarking numbers, and remember this is for all industries at the average. So you could be working in a different industry which have different benchmark numbers. But if you're just starting, if you have more than 21% open rate, well, then you know that you're above average, right? So that's a good number to start with. And if you want to learn more about email benchmark, you can download the benchmark report from apsis.com. And now in 2026, there will be a new one released shortly. So keep an eye out for that. And then I will hand it over to Henrik to talk about A/B testing, right?
Thank you so much, Karina. So we are going to talk about A/B testing, and let's start with when and why and how. The timing and the purpose and the execution. So when should you do an A/B test? Our rule of thumb is always do it. You can always test something, improve some small thing. And when in doubt, test it. Should I go with that image or that image? Why not set up an A/B test and learn for the future? If one version with each image or change buttons and so on. Make it part of your strategy that you should always improve your sendings. So when you're planning your sendings to go out, also plan what should we test and when. And why should you use A/B test? And that is so you can understand your audience and learn what do they want, what make them more engaged in your sendings. Um, so improve your sendings and replace guessing with evidence. So you can actually say, okay, why do we use red buttons? Yeah, because it works better than the old blue ones, because we did testing on this. And how should we do it? And how do we start? And keep it very simple. Uh, Only do minor tweaks to start with, and try it out one against another one, especially if you have small audiences. Just keep it very simple and test many times. And if you are unsure, is this changed to excessive or something, do a 90-10 split. So yes, 10% of your audience will get a new version if you are feeling any unsecure that should we really try this one out. So where do we start? Easiest way I would say is to try and improve your open rate. So you can then test different subject lines and pre-headers against each other. So here's an example, and that is curiosity versus telling a story. So here I played around with invites to our webinar. And is your subscription strategy holding you back? That could be more curiosity. And if you go with the more telling a story, from signups to loyalty. And it's a good way to test that, and test this over multiple emails with different, keep the same type of subject lines, and test those against each other to find out what works with your audience, what makes more customers open your emails. So we have some pitfalls, what you should not do. And that is testing. A/B testing is not a quick fix. It's an ongoing practice, something you should do again and again and again, and improve and improve and improve. So it's not, yeah, we tested this, blue button works best, now we always should do blue buttons. Each test also provides context with specific insights. It's not the universal rules. Blue buttons might work for some sendings and red ones for another one, and depending on what your audience is for those sendings. Test only one variable at a time, so you know what did actually be the effect. So you don't test, oh, I test subject lines and I test changing all the images to look in another way. I should change the font size and font face and so on. Then you will never know what actually did work. So test only one thing at a time. And be objective. Trust the data. I mean, it's very easy that you see what you're looking for. Like, oh yeah, we did this test. Oh yeah, it got 1% better. Then that's the truth. So trust the data, learn from the data, and yeah, test multiple times. So simple test that you can that can improve your performance, and that is increase open rate, and that's something you do with subject lines and pre-headers and sender names, so you capture your attention, as Karina said, to improve those open rates, and then boost the engagement. That could be to test during different times. Maybe you should try out sending in 9 in the morning and then 2 o'clock in the afternoon. What works best for your audience? So you learn. And drive higher click-through rates. And that is that you can have different content and test that out, what actually work. With how does your image look, how does your buttons look, and how much text do you add, and so on. So that's things you can try out. So next slide. So here we have a short video on how you can just set up a simple test to try out different buttons. So you clone your existing button, then you move it to its own row because you're testing row against row, and then you can change the button text for one of them. Then you go to the first row again, and then they say, okay, this button and this row should be part of version 1, and this row, the second row, should be part of version 2. And then you can see a preview how the different versions looks. Especially important if you would add multiple rows to different versions, so you can actually see how it changes. And if you're happy with your design, then you can just go next. And here we set up who you're going to send to, and we click next on that one as well. And here you activate your A/B test to see what you should test. And here we have different types of tests. We have with and without winner. I would recommend to start without winner. And you can change the split sizes. Here you would change the 90-10, for example, and you can toggle between your two different splits. And subject line, pre-header, and sender name. And here down at content, you then select split 1 should get version 1, and split 2 should then get version 2. And that is how you set up an A/B test. So thank you so much. Back to you, Agneta.
Back to me. And just a thought that crossed my mind listening to this presentation is that even though we have these great email KPIs like opens and clicks, it tells part of the story, but just getting an open is hardly ever the end result and where the revenue is actually generated. So always think about what your email campaigns are kind of planned to achieve. What's the end result? What's the outcome? What's the value? And how do you tie that to the revenue and the success of your marketing initiatives or your client communication strategy? So opens and clicks, click-through open rates, and all those data you get from your email campaigns tells part of the story. You need to make sure it's part of your strategy overall revenue generating activities. We actually have a question that is quite interesting. We, again, half an hour runs by very fast, so we're already on overtime. But let's address this question because I found it really interesting. The other questions that you've posted in the chat, we will get back to you with answers. But we have a question about bilingual email campaigns. If you want to send an email in different languages to your audience, what's the best strategy and the best way to do that? Karina, do you want to share some insights from your perspective on multilingual email campaigns?
There, now I think you can hear me. Yes, so bilingual sendings, the best way to go about it is to create your different newsletter versions, I would say, because there is so much both in header and footer and so on that has that is language specific. So when it comes to language, I would recommend to do one for each language, right? And then also remember to do the settings, the language setting in settings, so the screen reader know which language to read it out or interpret it as. So I guess that's my recommendation when it comes to different languages.
Yeah, and that is the overall recommendation. But again, the strategy on your side, asking the question, there is a reason for that, I would assume, that it's something that we would love to deep dive into together with you and one of our consultants and see what's the best way for you, because there might be other options or ways of working that would create, well, help you save time and get more value out of your campaigns. So reach out to your customer responsible contact or reach out to support and we will guide you from there. Thank you so much for listening. This again was the third session in the series. There are 2 more to come. First one is after the holidays on the 16th of January. We're going to talk about segments, and then we also have a webinar about marketing automation coming up. So before you go on leave, if you have the luxury of being off during the holidays, sign up and we will see you then. And thank you, Henrik, and thank you, Karina, for co-hosting this webinar with me today. And we wish you all happy holidays and take care.